What up, Reddit? It's Kendrick Lamar.
In June of 2024, Kendrick Lamar and 25 other West Coast artists performed at the historical Pop-Out concert. And with so many highlights from that night, we tend to overlook one of the best parts: the reunitement of the Black Hippies.
Black Hippy in this motherfucker tonight, hold up. Make some noise for my motherfucking niggas, man. Schoolboy motherfucking Q.
Love y'all. Kendrick motherfucking Lamar, you yeah.
Al motherfucking Soul.
Yes, sir.
J motherfucking Rock. PD definitely in this motherfucker tonight. Day ones, hold up.
To some of you, this may not mean much, and to be fair, I don't really blame you. The Black Hippies were much more successful as solo artists than they ever were as a collective. They've never released an album together, none of their songs have ever charted. Their Spotify profile is literally just some random person who re-uploaded their music back in 2013. But when looking at their chemistry on stage, you can tell they were much more than just some label mates. The early 2010s was an extremely experimental period for both hip-hop and its culture. Long gone were the days of needing a record label and a whole studio to release your projects. All you really needed was a laptop, a mic, and a push from YouTube. But more importantly, with the rise of social media platforms like Twitter and MySpace, and with hip-hop blogs like Two Dope Boys and Now Right, it allowed for these new rappers to stay connected to their audiences in ways no one previously could.
If you could get Shake or Meg to post your shit on Two Dope Boys,
You
like
was live.
it literally like will change your life.
Life changing.
Yeah.
If SK posted you, forget about it.
Over. Like in the real like early stages, Now Right was the blog. Period. It was Now Right, and then everyone else was coming up, but Now Right was like the standard. Like if you got on Now Right, it was like, oh shit, I got it. I listen to everything on Now Right.
I was on Now Right 3 times a week.
That's crazy.
This was known as the blog era, and it became one of the most influential periods in rap history. The internet started allowing rappers to organically grow their audiences without the need of radio plays or mainstream attention. So it became the new way of finding underground rappers. Out of this, we've gotten gems like J. Cole, Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, Danny Brown, and Chance the Rapper. But a lot of time has passed since then, and about 90% of these rappers have fallen off into obscurity. I mean, how many of you are still actively listening to like Asheroth, Mickey Fax, or Chitty Bang? No offense, but let's be real here.
Yo, maybe if I just get posted on this, it'll work. Whatever. That was 5 years ago, or 3 years ago in 2014. Y'all clearly don't matter because none of y'all with me. You know what I'm saying? Except for DJ Boots and Two Dope Boys. The rest of y'all, all y'all slept. None of y'all with me. And I still became successful. I still sell out tours worldwide.
Who the fuck is this guy?
It introduced a lot of new sounds from all across the country. But these new rappers brought with them something that the next generation of hip-hop listeners desperately needed. Someone who could actually appeal to them. Hip-hop was becoming like an old man's game, so these new rappers brought like a fresh but familiar face to it. Mac Miller was like some guy you could have been at a party with. Chance the Rapper was like some dude offering you shrooms and bogeys from his pocket. And Wiz Khalifa was like our generation's version of Snoop Dogg. It was the beginning of a new era, and one that I desperately want to cover one day, so if you want to see a video about all that, let me know down in the comments below. But fighting for the front of these blog pages was often a struggle. You had to either stand out with your music, your virality, or if you were lucky, be co-signed to a bigger artist.
I want to give a shout out. I want to extend my respect to the whole Not Right family, SK. I'm a big supporter, man. I go on every day and check it out, and I'm always, flattered when I'm on there.
All right.
Okay.
Blogs.
Blogs. Two dope boys.
Woo! Shake and Mecca are gonna love that one.
Yeah.
The story of Black Hippy is one that largely coincides with the blog era, but at a time when everyone was trying to influence the youth through fashion trends, viral dances, and harder drugs, the Black Hippies took a more conscious approach, one that resulted in the birth of their movement, HiiiPower.
They smell like that sour. Sour power. Power, power. High power.
Well, Dr. Johnson, for the last year, he's done nothing but listen non-stop to the rap group Black Hippy. He spends all his time perusing the internet, going to YouTube, trying to find songs that aren't on their albums. It's all he does. It's bizarre. He texts his friends as soon as a new song is released, which apparently is every day. He stands on our porch wearing clothes I've never seen him care to wear, rapping choruses from their songs. We have neighbors, Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. It's called TDE.
TDE?
Yes, TDE. I'm afraid there's nothing you can do. You just can't with this Top Dog shit, though. You just can't.
In 2004, Anthony Top Dog Tiffith opened up Top Dog Entertainment, building a small recording studio in the back of a residential home and dubbing it the House of Pain. He had his younger cousin, Punch, be the president of the label, and Punch fundamentally set up all the early groundwork. He had some prior connections to the West Coast rap industry and was exceptional at scouting new talent, hiring producers like Soundwave and engineers like Mixed by Ali. Their first signee was someone right out of Top Dog's own hood, Watts' own bounty hunter blood, J-Rock.
Where did Top Dog discover you? Was it really on the porch while you were getting your haircut?
Yeah, exactly. He just pulled up, man, while I was getting the haircut, man. I thought he was looking for me for something I did, but it was all about music, you know what I mean?
J-Rock was TDE's initial push. After releasing his first 3 mixtapes, he gained enough of a following to get signed to Warner Bros. In 2007. He was able to get some features from will.i.am, Lil Wayne, and The Game. But around 2008, things started shifting internally for Warner Bros., leading to a new team overlooking J-Rock, and sort of shelving his project, saying it didn't have much radio appeal. After 2 years of waiting around, he kinda just left Warner Bros., and signed to Tech Nine's Strange Music label, releasing his most critically acclaimed mixtape, Black Friday, which got him his appearance on that year's XXL freshman class. He then went on to release his debut studio album, Follow Me Home, in 2011, which most famously had the song Hood Gon' Love It, ironically known for going certified platinum in both the streets and on Radio Los Santos. Although J-Rock was Top Dog's initial focus, he became more of TDE's first guinea pig. They learned everything about what not to do when signing with a label, which was really unfortunate for his career early on, because he never got that real push he deserved. After leaving Strange Music in 2014, he stayed with TDE and went on to release arguably his best album, 90059, and my favorite album of his, Redemption. A few weeks after signing J-Rock, Top Dog's computer was running into a few issues. So he called up a tech-savvy 17-year-old by the name of Dave Free to come fix whatever was going on. Dave Free didn't actually fix anything. Instead, he went on his blog and started playing Kendrick's very first mixtape for him, Hub City Threat, Minor of the Year. Top Dog was actually impressed, and later invited Kendrick to do a few freestyles at the House of Pain. Right there and then, Kendrick got signed to TDE and got to work releasing projects with his other Leo mate, J-Rock. He paired surprisingly well with J-Rock's style of gritty street anthems, and they started touring together with Kendrick pretty much being his hype man. At the time, Kendrick was also going by K-Dot, and it really wasn't until the release of the Kendrick Lamar EP that he started going by Kendrick Lamar. So for around 5 years of his career, he was just K-Dot.
The album is self-titled Kendrick Lamar. You know, I had went from the names change to title myself Kendrick Lamar, which is my government name. I basically want to give people my story, you know what I mean? And it actually starts right here. to know the ground root of everything, just to know who I am as a person. Why not start with the name changing and whatnot. So just want to basically give y'all me for the first tape we put out. Actually an EP, so stay tuned.
Now around 2002, Herbert Anthony Stevens IV, better known as Absol, was honing in his freestyling skills by text battling others on the website Black Planet. He called it key styling, and it's what really got him into being a rapper. At the age of 10, Absol contracted Stevens-Johnson syndrome, a rare type of skin reaction that causes severe rashes and blisters all around the body, resulting in him having dark lips and light-sensitive eyes, which is often why he refers to himself as the Black Lip Bastard, and why he's always wearing sunglasses in every photo you see him in. Absol was fairly sheltered throughout his youth, and grew up in a middle-class home in the suburbs, away from any gangs, and instead playing video games, listening to music at his parents' record store, and living a mostly normal childhood. After graduating high school, he found himself rapping with Soundwave's cousin, who one day brought him over to TDE to meet their president Punch. When he got there, he wasn't really the best rapper, and didn't have much of an idea of what his actual goals were. So Punch told him to just get in the booth with K-Dot and J-Rock whenever he could, which is why you'll find him on some of their earliest mixtapes. Schoolboy Q was the last to join the roster, and his story is quite interesting. He grew up fairly sheltered, but unlike Absol, Q turned to a life of gangs, joining the Hoover Crips at the age of 12, and getting the name Schoolboy for his grades in school. Unfortunately, he kept making bad decisions, and ended up selling various amounts of drugs, most notably, Oxy. Around late 2006, TDE's engineer, Mixed by Ali, invited Q over for whatever reason, and when he got there, J-Rock and Absol were working on a track together, but they were stuck on the last part. Schoolboy Q asked to spit 16, he recorded his verse, and he's been there ever since. Although he did get arrested for home invasion and spent about 6 months locked up. So there was a period around 2007 when the rest of TDE were on the mixtapes, and he just wasn't.
And T-Rail, you know who T-Rail is?
Of course.
Bro, you know we thought about robbing your store. I'm so happy we didn't do it. We would have died. Like, we were young and shit. You know, it's mass security and all that shit. We thought we were just gonna run in that motherfucker like, you know what I mean? We're like, oh, we gonna get him. So I'm telling you, look, this is a real story. The homie Punch or whatever, we all like, you know, we trying to map this out. We didn't go to the thing. We didn't plan it out. All right, one of the homies gonna have a fight over here, act like we fighting to get the security to lure away, do all this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 to get pinball, and rob. We're gonna rob to break the thing and do all this shit. And then I think one day, like a week or something before we was about to do it, we had it all mapped out, who gonna do what, whoop, wop. We was like, bro, we gonna die. It's like, but we was poor as a motherfucker. We was like, bro, we're gonna die.
So in summary, all of them had met by sometime around late 2006. But Absol wasn't signed until 2007, and Schoolboy Q wasn't signed until around 2008. Although Q never had any plans of becoming a rapper, he rapidly gained an online following after releasing his mixtapes, Schoolboy Turned Hustler and Gangsta and Soul. Which is why, even though he was the last to join, he was the first to drop an album. Setbacks was the most downloaded album on iTunes for about 2 days, and it was the first time any of them had actually trended on Twitter, with the phrase, "I bet I got some weed," taken off, making Q TDE's first real star.
Who are some
Nobody counted in TDE till I came.
How is this nobody counting when Rock and Dot had a wrong. Rock and Dot had a whole
Rock and Dot didn't exist until I came.
That's not true, nigga.
Whoa, hey, let's get over here, dog.
Bro.
Were they cracking? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, TDE wasn't TDE until Schoolboy Q put up.
No. When Q got signed, he was still attending community college, and he didn't really find a lot of time to rap. So he came up with the idea of starting a rap group, mostly so that he could spit one verse and call it a day. No one in the group really had an ego either, but they were always trying to one-up each other in the studio, and their sessions went pretty hardcore, lasting from the time they woke up to whenever they fell asleep on the floor. The House of Pain had a few rules like, shut up and look ugly for the homies. And if the homies just met you and decided to clown your bitch ass, sit there and deal with it. It's part of the creative juices. Now, what you guys might not know is that around this time, there were a few other artists hanging out at TDE, like Absol's girlfriend Lori Joe and the rapper B.O., who all made appearances on TDE's first mixtape, Do It Squad. Released in May of 2008, it didn't see much success, but it did have the first appearance of Black Hippy as a group on the song Try Me. They sounded pretty good as a collective, but what surprised me most was Punch's feature. He kinda almost washed everybody. When coming up with their name, Schoolboy Q said he took one good look at Absol and decided on Black Hippy. But it also kinda goes deeper than that.
I was laughing at Absol, the story behind Absol, how he's the suburban kid.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, what? Like he defines a Black Hippie to me. Like he's just so free spirited. He seems like he's so he's about it.
Yeah, he's the mascot. He's the mascot for sure.
Suburban.
Everything about him. Yep.
The idea of hippies around the late 2000s were van-living stoners who were against the system. They were for civil rights, equality, and all that, but they also liked hearing good music and having a fun time, which was something they all related to. But hippies were a mostly white people thing. You know what I mean. Grandma dresses tie-dye and, shit. They instead flipped the script. They were gonna be different. They were gonna be the Black Hippies.
When you think of the word Black Hippie, when you think of the word hippie, you think of people that's carefree.
Right.
You know what I mean? And doing what they want to do. And that's how we look at the industry. How we look at ourselves coming towards the industry and all the politics around it. We're going to do what we want with our music. And that's why we're able to express ourselves on certain tracks and people is receptive to it. And we put the word black in front of it because a hippie, you think of a lot of bright colors.
Right.
We took black and we placed it in front of that because we're not just talking about a certain color, we're talking about all colors, and the colors represent life. You know what I mean? It represents being happy, being sad, being angry, being mad, being depressed, being stressed. And that's how our music feel. And we think black represents that when you put it all in the pot. So break it down, it comes together as Black Hippie.
2009 was their most active year. They released about 12 singles together, and after that, you'd get maybe 1 to 2 Black Hippy releases every year. It became less and less frequent throughout. Unfortunately, they never quite caught on with some of the blogs, with Kendrick telling an interviewer in 2011 that he remembers the times he was begging blog sites to post their music. A few tracks that did gain them some notoriety were On Some Shit, Zip That Chop That, and Shadow of Death, all of which were being shared on the now defunct platform, MySpace. Out of all the Black Hippies at the time, Schoolboy Q had the biggest online following. He constantly interacted with fans on Twitter and seemed like a genuinely funny guy, which gained him somewhat of a cult fan base early on.
Tuck the things in. Yeah, tuck that shit in.
Parkour.
After releasing his debut studio album, Setbacks, and finding success with hits like Birds and the Bees and I Bet I Got Some Weed, it brought eyes over into the first official Black Hippy release, Rolling Stone. Now, this might be my favorite song from them. I can't quite play it, but you just have to listen to it. It's them just having fun with the beat. It has a nostalgic feeling to it, even for its era. And it's why I wish we got an actual Black Hippy album instead of them just like remixing their own hits every year.
Now stop, and just move. Say it off like, see the dope man trying to get right. Hey, I put up a power light. Hey, y'all only can roll. Go, bad bitches, bad bitches, bad bitches, freaking finna be a witness. Hey, for that man, get shot through the backseat. Pumping through my veins, I'm a crack man. Hey, better crack, drop your ass on low, the chauffeur, get you over. And I'm over, it's over. Never sober, my cup, and it's over.
In the lead up to J-Rock's first album, Follow Me Home, they released a music video for Say What's Up, which became the album's second best charting song, and further cemented their status as an up-and-coming rap group. Although 2009 was their most active year, they did release a fair amount of songs from 2011 to 2013, which I'd consider some of their best years as a group. They were constantly being interviewed, they appeared in magazines, and that BET cipher became quite infamous for its subliminal Drake jabs.
That goes for Jamaica, Big Crit Wale, Pusha T, Meek Mills, A$AP Rocky, Drake, Big Sean.
But the Black Hippies became more than just their music. They started a movement that not many at their time tried. The Titans of the blog era were influential in the sense that if you like Lil B, you're probably wearing Vans and saying bass to everything. If you like Wiz Khalifa, you were probably smoking bras and wearing Converse. If you liked Odd Future, you were probably buying Thrasher hoodies because you couldn't afford the Supreme BOGOs. Don't lie to yourself. And if you were dancing to Crank That, just be careful.
Hey, yo, my life's like a movie, my eyes are like a Uzi, jacuzzi. Get the fuck out of the way!
There was no one putting out a real message. We were at the peak of frat rap. Everyone was trying to emulate Eminem's punchline bars. Sad boy rappers were getting popular. Cloud rap started doing its thing, like even the Drain Gang got its early hype through blogs. It was a whole mixed bag of shit that was overall cool for what it was, and influential in their own ways, but they never took that step beyond just wanting to release good music. In the Black Hippies case, they were really no different. If you listen to their earlier releases, they're just trying to have a good time. They're rapping about the hoes, selling bud, getting money, and if it was just that, that's fine. Not every song has to have a deeper meaning. Now, although Schoolboy Q had the biggest online following in the lead up to the year 2011, Kendrick Lamar wasn't too far behind. His mixtape Overly Dedicated didn't go unnoticed, and was accompanied by a few music videos that went relatively viral for the time. Notably the song Cut You Off, which introduced the concept of high power. What is high power? High power is the way we think, the way we live. See, it's known today that the human race is nothing. No morals, no standards. What we're about to do is raise the level of expectations. No, you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to be rich. But you will be rich in mind and spirit. Some say it's as big as a crew. Some say it's as big as a gang. High power. We stand for it as if it's as big as a religion.
Okay, and you recently put out a new single, High Power.
Yes, sir.
What's high power? Because it's more than just a song.
Yeah.
What's high power?
High power is it's a way of life. It's how we live and how we think. My whole thing about high power is the spirit of being rich. You know what I mean? Not to be rich, you know what I mean, physical paper, but to be rich in mind and heart and spirit. And being overall standing higher and being on the plateau over all the bullshit. It's how you carry yourself, you know what I mean, the way you act around people. And it's a way of life, really. It's not just a song for me or my crew, because we really go out here and we practice this.
High power was Kendrick's way of saying there's a lot of bullshit going on, so you really have to stand above it. You have to start thinking for yourself, and you gotta have a strong moral compass. If I were to just leave you off at that, you might think Kendrick wasn't a hippie, just like a hipster kind of guy. But when listening to his albums, it's kind of like experiencing a cinematic movie. You have to keep listening. Cut You Off is an interlude of sorts to Heaven and Hell, a song with two halves. One where he vividly describes his idea of hell, which is basically just earth and everything that goes on in it, and the other half being heaven, which is kind of just a beat. He does have a little outro verse, yeah, but it fades off so that you can make up your own idea of what high power can bring you. When you connect these two songs, it shows the bullshit he's referring to. The oil barons, the poverty and unemployment rates, the police brutality, the racism, the health crisis, and all these other establishments that are rewarded for their evil and greed. The Black Hippies weren't trying to influence what you were wearing or what drugs you were taking. They were just like, yo, there's some bad shit going on and it seems like no one cares. We should probably further the progress of those that came before us, right?
Taking pills and syrup to relieve the stress and all the temptations of the world that they're going through. And
you gotta remember that this was when the Iraq War was still going on, when the earthquakes in Haiti had just hit, when the swine flu was still at its peak. It was a time when there was a lot of panic and seemingly no answers. If you were around during the 2010s, You'd probably remember the whole hydrofracking concerns after the BP oil spills. It talks about a war with North Korea, the WikiLeaks, and the NSA conspiracies. There was a lot of this and that, a lot of confusion, and it was something almost no one was rapping about at that time.
In about 3 years, holla at me, Miley Cyrus.
The message of HiiiPower really caught on throughout the rest of 2011, with all the other members of Black Hippy referencing it in a number of their releases. There's even a number of songs where A$AP Rocky says HiiiPower, which might have been because they were both touring with Drake during that time. It was slowly catching on in the West, but as a whole, it wasn't much more than just the Black Hippy motto. After releasing Overly Dedicated, Kendrick was ready to debut his first studio album, Section 80. It's here where we learn a lot more about HiiiPower, and what they were actually trying to accomplish with that. Overall, Section 80 was a conscious album. He raps about the dark side of prostitution, the aftermath of the crack epidemic, racism, police brutality, and just a bunch of other issues that frankly, no other up-and-coming rappers tried to even touch.
Awesome, and I fuck dolphins. Brand new whip for these niggas like slavery. I perfected my craft using Moses. Trying to make some cheese off a single is a process. Get it? Craft, single, cheese, process.
Now, although Kendrick came up with the term HiiiPower, it was really Ab-Soul who inspired the movement behind it. Ab-Soul is by far the most underappreciated member of the group, and while I personally don't listen to him as much as I do the rest, I can respect that he's probably on par with Kendrick in terms of like introspective lyrical capabilities. They were the first to really get back to hip-hop's more socially conscious roots, at a time when Hopsin was the next closest thing we had to that. That's why upon the release of Section 80, you saw that Ab-Soul had his own outro. He gives his own thoughts about what HiiiPower really is. It's not something that's going to change the world, but they help to unify enough people in order to fight the bigger man. Because when it comes down to it, we're all going to be victims in the end.
I was moving the grams for you. Knew what a hand-to-hand was, tucking the fans, radars, and scanners. For you knew what hard white and the tan was. I was ducking the turnpike, I ate with the blammers. I was hitting the... Fucked it up. But yeah, you know, hot bars all day, baby. Hey, what you doing, man? Stop fucking with me.
It's some real hippie shit, but it's true. Now, one line that's repeated throughout the outro is, "What's your life about? Enlighten me. Is you gonna live on your knees or die on your feet?" Basically, are you gonna live passively or are you gonna take a risk? Are you gonna join a revolution and fight for yourself? Or are you gonna live your life blissfully ignorant at your little 9 to 5? Ab-Soul's always been deep, but Kendrick's verse on the outro explains his own motives for coming up with HiiiPower, in that he's just searching for answers, and that he himself does not have them. He doesn't want to be misled by the blue-collar lives of people he sees on TV, the structured lives they lead, because it's not what he sees in his daily life. He's not a pop star or the next socially aware rapper. He's just a dude making good music and trying to figure out the world around him. One of my favorite lines from the entire album was, "I'm not on the outside looking in, I'm not on the inside looking out, I'm in the dead fucking center looking around." He's not saying he's above everyone and he has it all figured out, nor is he saying he's talking about lived experiences. He's just an observer. He's looking around at what he sees, and he's rapping about all the crazy shit that's going on. It's why you gotta respect Kendrick, man. He's able to give us these poetic ass lines without making it seem forced. He's just trying to figure out why life's the way it is. But still, he believes his generation, the Section 80 babies, for all the chaos and ignorance that goes on in their lives, that they can't be controlled, that they'll build their own wealth, and that if they stand for HiiiPower, they'll stand for something bigger than all of them. Family.
I don't have friends. I got family. I'm giving you big hugs in a second. I'm doing it live. I'll give big hugs in a second. I'm doing it live.
When speaking to interviewers, Kendrick said that HiiiPower was beginning to pick up in the streets of LA. He explained how the 3 I's in HiiiPower represents heart, honor, and respect, which is how they wish to carry themselves in the world.
HiiiPower is not just 3 fingers in the air, it's a way of life, it's a family. Like, tell me about the beliefs and the philosophy of HiiiPower.
That's what a lot of people don't understand, I mean, you're right. You had hit that right on there. They think it's just a song. It's really a big movement that we got in LA that's spreading like wildfire. And high power, the 3 eyes represents heart, honor, respect. That's how we carry ourselves in the streets and just in the world, period. And high power, it basically, the simplest form, it represents just being above all the madness, above all the bullshit. No matter what the world is going through, you always going to keep your self-dignity and carry yourself with this manner that it don't phase you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever your negative, whatever you think negative is, and you're like overcoming that and still having that self-respect. And that's what high power is: heart, honor, respect.
Up until this point, high power was a bunch of ideas that were kind of mishmashed. And to be fair, he wasn't really taking his philosophy classes at UCLA yet. High power was just a thing. It's like, yeah, be a good person. But it didn't really explain anything, nor did it really try to. Now, Absol's outro wasn't the actual outro of Section 80. That actually went to the lead single, High Power. I'm gonna have to break this off into multiple sections because there's really a lot to it. But first we gotta start off with how High Power even came to be, which all started with a hallucination he got from Tupac one night, telling him to keep doing what he's doing and not let his message die.
Even in the beginning of the video.
Ever. I mean, and talking to me. And I just really wanted to share that message, man, and I felt like it was something I just couldn't keep to myself. I wanted to put it out to the world and let them know this shit is real for me. I mean, I'm not only doing it for myself anymore, I'm doing it for people around me, my city, of course, and for a bigger power, and that's to continue the message that he tried to carry on.
It's in the opening of the music video, as well as why Kendrick shouts out Thug Life in the end. Thug Life was Tupac's movement against the systemic oppression of Black Americans, with the movement really growing in popularity during the time he was locked up. I've already talked about Tupac's influence on Kendrick's music in my previous video, so if you haven't watched that, I need you to, for utility bills and gas money and shit. But anyway, yeah, a lot of Tupac's music and style influenced Kendrick, which still inspires him to this day. High Power was also Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole's first known collaboration, with there being about 25 different mixes of that song. Some that featured Black Hippy, one that had J. Cole on it, but the final version only featured Kendrick Lamar and Lori Joe, who we'll get to in a bit.
And the single High Power is out right now. People can get that on iTunes, produced by J. Cole. I want to talk about J. Cole's production because I think when he first started, people were saying he should stick to just emceeing, don't do producing. I've been noticing the progress. Why don't you tell me about his production?
His production is crazy, man. I mean, the first time we locked in, he played about 10 beats, man. I wanted 11 of them.
The entire song's production was even handled by Cole. And what's crazy is that, if my timelines are correct, after making these songs together, J. Cole introduced Kendrick to Dr. Dre. And that's when they started working together.
How did your music get into his hands in the first place?
Paul Rosenberg, Eminem's manager. He heard it first. And I was on the Strange tour with Rock, and I got the word. He said Paul Rosenberg called Dre, told him to check out this kid. He on YouTube, a song called Ignorance is Bliss. Yeah. The video. I think that's the first time Dre ever heard me, Ignorance is Bliss video, which is a great introduction. You know what I mean? If I had to pick any of the songs, it would have been either that or The Heart, part 2. And he heard Ignorance is Bliss, called my dude Top Dog immediately, like the same day. Top called me and was like, yo, Dre just heard your music and he want to fuck with you.
High Power was released a month prior to the album's release date, and the response they got from it was kinda insane, getting over 10,000 downloads on the first day, which became TDE's biggest release at that point, right alongside his other features on The Birds and the Bees and Hood Gon' Love It, cementing him as a real underdog of 2011.
And I see this really small guy with a hat on and the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, that's Kendrick Lamar. Now, you got to understand, I'm a big hip-hop fan. I said, man, your mixtape, dude, Section 80 is amazing. I said, you are the next. I said, Rebecca, this is Kendrick. He was like, you know who I am? I said, who? I said, I love you. I said, I think you are going to be the future.
But Lori Joe was a talented up-and-coming singer that worked alongside the Black Hippies in their earlier days, making appearances on some of their mixtapes as early as 2008. She's previously been featured on Heaven and Hell, and was also on High Power, but she was making a name for herself with her own music too, gaining a following on Tumblr, and even being compared to the likes of an early Beyonce. But for whatever reason, she was never fully signed to TDE, just part of their backup roster. She met Absol while they were both attending high school, and they developed a loving relationship that lasted up until her death in February of 2012. Alori suffered from a number of depressive issues, and one day, she decided enough was enough, and tragically left from a radio tower onto a bunch of spikes. It was pretty gruesome, so I'd rather not go over the details. But just know that her death deeply affected Absol in ways that I genuinely cannot imagine.
I don't care what you gonna do, man. I don't care what you think you're gonna do. You think you're gonna die and leave the earth or something like that, bro. We still gonna keep you alive down here, man. We got people that love you down here, whether you think so or not. And we gonna keep you alive.
All you really need to do is listen to the Book of Soul and most of his 2016 project. That's all I really gotta say about it. Her death really changed him as a person. He went through the deepest depression, but it opened up his mind to a lot of struggles Black women were going through, which is what a lot of Do What Thou Wilt explores, with some outlets even labeling it as a feminist rap album when it came out.
I am a feminist. I guess it's fair to say I'm a feminist. I'm all for women's rights and equality of the sexes.
It also took a serious mental toll on him, and in 2022, while on a drug-induced binge, he unfortunately started getting, those types of thoughts. And well, he actually tried doing something about it. In a similar fashion to Alori, Absol went to an overpass in LA, climbed up the railing, and leapt from the top hoping to, But he was somehow miraculously saved by a car breaking his fall at the last second.
Pretty much finished the album before I did what I did. I jumped off a freeway overpass, man. It was about 50 feet. Wow. I think a car broke my fall. Walked from my mom's house to the bridge and jumped off on the freeway overpass. But I had it was like almost like dreamish, like I was I was not in control, if you will. I woke up on the ground. Oh yeah, he's still here. My first thought was, idiot. I lost my I ain't even got this is a flipper. My jaws fucked up. Like I got a lot of work to do still. My whole leg is.
Thankfully, he didn't die or suffer any major injuries. Just a few broken bones and some missing teeth, which he credits as a moment he put his faith back in God. Both of these were explored on his 2022 album, Herbert, but only here and there as the album was mostly complete before he even took that fall. He wasn't thinking about, actually doing it. It was more of a spur of the moment kind of thing, caused by his vape addiction. And ever since then, he's been trying to lead a more sober lifestyle.
You gave a lot of yourself on Gotta Rap. You said that was a difficult song to write.
Oh, yeah.
It was difficult saying that you attempted and that you broke your leg and your teeth. And you don't even know why you did it. That's what you said lyrically.
Yeah.
What led you to that moment?
I was under the influence. I was in a trance. It was not a conscious decision. It was literally out of my control. I woke up. I woke up on the ground.
Wow.
My friend, like, God is good.
God is good.
Simple as that.
We've talked about Tupac, we've talked about J. Cole, we've talked about Alori Joe and Absol, and now we got to talk about HiiiPower. First of all, listen to the song. I can't recommend it enough. I don't listen to a lot of J. Cole, I'll admit that, but if these are his beats, then I've been missing out, and I'll hold the L. Yo, and the chorus is so cold, bro. This man Kendrick samples Kanye so appalled. I've just been saying 5-star dishes, food for thought bitches. I mean, this shit is
fucking ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. You know this shit is.
HiiiPower starts off with a call to put 3 fingers in the air, which is a very easy thing to miss in the music video, but it was inspired by Malcolm X. It's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. What's cool is that during his concerts, people often raise 3 fingers into the air during the entirety of the song. Instead of their fucking iPhones nowadays, You guys remember those times? Because I don't. I wasn't allowed to go to concerts as a kid. My first concert was right after high school, and it wasn't fun. Just a little word to the wise, never go to a Lil Baby concert. He's not fun. He just kind of stands there. He's there to just get a check. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Young M.A. puts on better concerts than Lil Baby. No fucking joke. This was back in 2018, so I'm not sure about now. But I had a way better time with her just straight up playing Bobby Shmurda's old music than whatever the fuck Lil Baby was trying to pull on stage. He's really just like a statue up there who just raps. He doesn't move. He doesn't really perform. I was still in the crowd though, kind of singing along, but that's only because I was off the, yo, ho, ho, haha. So where were we, right? I thought this was a video about Kendrick Lamar and HiiiPower, haha. For what it was, the 3 fingers in the air caught on for the majority of 2011. But it's not something that's usually done at his concerts nowadays. Now, I can't fully break down the lyrics bit by bit, mostly because when I do that, you guys just click off. So I'll express to you a few things that you should know about standing for HiiiPower. He starts with his own internal conflict between the messages of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And on one hand, his parents would like for him to go down the more peaceful route. But on the other hand, he's falling towards a more revolutionary stance. He's seeing all the untelevised evil in this world, a nation consumed by materialism. And instead of waiting around doing nothing, he's already off that slave ship, building pyramids and writing his own hieroglyphs.
That's what we always call this shit.
Ridiculous. I mean, that shit is fucking ridiculous.
Obviously, the slave ship is in reference to the Atlantic slave trade, but it also hints at the idea of modern-day slavery, how we're a plastic nation, and how the media and 9-to-5s have made us complacent with the evils others are experiencing. It's what it means to have high power, to start thinking for ourselves and recognizing these evils so that we can stand up against them. With the best way being to educate yourself, becoming a leader, and having others be inspired by you. He also recounts his struggle losing touch with God, believing the devil, or otherwise the entertainment industry, might be what's causing that. It's frightening. So fucking frightening. It's enough to drive a man insane, a woman insane. The reason Lauryn Hill don't sing or Kurt Cobain loaded up that clip and then said bang. Not only was that just straight bars, but he's trying to tell you that being in his position might not be what it's cut out to be. The music industry is incredibly demanding, and the ethics of it can take a toll on its artists in infamously dark ways, as per the Kurt Cobain line. Lauryn Hill's a bit different, but she was still pressured into changing who she was after the success of her debut album, being offered incredible movie roles and other opportunities, but ones that she felt diminished what she stood for at her core. Finally, one of the coolest parts of HiiiPower is how he interchanges different members of the Black Panther Party into the chorus. Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, Fred Hampton, you can't resist there.
High power, throw your hands up for high power.
These were all revolutionary African Americans that fought against oppression and were a driving factor in the civil rights movement. Huey Newton was known for his intellect, hence Huey Newton going stupid. Bobby Seale started a free program that fed breakfast to kids, hence Bobby Seale making meals. And Fred Hampton was known to give out revolutionary speeches at Northern Illinois University, hence Fred Hampton on your campus. He wasn't being preachy with it, it was like a sly little nod, but you can still see the message Kendrick was trying to send.
I never read in school, I never read in middle school, elementary, none of that. And it was on a plane ride, I think I was coming back from where I was coming from. It was the South, somewhere in the South. And you know what I said? I want to write these list of people down. I want to research them and look them up. And I was having a conversation on the plane with my dude Punch, and he was inspiring me even more, you know what I mean, about these people. So he said, you know what? J. Cole sung me a beat, and it felt just like these names that he was throwing out. And I got inspired as soon as I jumped off the plane. I want to go up in here and talk about these people, something that I never did in my life. And it enlightened me, you know?
HiiiPower is rising above all the bullshit of materialism. It's researching the world around us and fighting against the oppression that comes from racism, capitalism, and an overall sense of evil. There's a whole blog post written about the contents of HiiiPower, People have color-coded breakdowns of the lyrics even before Genius got popular. There is a 33-page long university essay about the lyrics, which I didn't read, but I assume is pretty insightful. It literally inspired an art exhibit, and this was all before he even got truly recognized. What a fucking start to a career, bro. What more can you really ask from this man? It's one of my favorite songs from his catalog, but as a whole, the movement never really took off. Like, yeah, the Black Hippies continued to shout out HiiiPower, but that was that. It ended so abruptly right after, and he never quite mentioned it again. It's not hard to see why it's so overshadowed in his career, or why it's only brought up during those Reddit memberberry posts. For what it was, HiiiPower was a cool concept, and I really wish they developed it further, but I'm not going to complain about the result we've gotten otherwise. Good Kid, Mad City was an entirely separate concept to Section 80. He was less an observer to the world, and started becoming a lot more impersonal. So the idea of HiiiPower just didn't quite fit into what he was trying to put out. And it's kind of been like that ever since. At the time Section 80 released, all 4 members of the Black Hippies were gaining their own solo fandoms and embarking on different paths in their careers. Absol and Q stayed back at TDE to start pushing out music videos and features, while Kendrick and J-Rock were on separate tours across the country. When Kendrick and J-Rock got back, Schoolboy Q and Absol went on their groovy tour. So unfortunately, the Black Hippies were just never around each other enough for a good portion of their peak.
This is in that folder on that hard drive.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. That's why I say, again, we did more with less. So, I don't want to, yeah, but fuck Whack Hippie, man. I'm the best rapper out of all of them. Them niggas can't rap with me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean...
Although they've had a few appearances on each other's albums throughout the mid-2010s, speculations began to circulate around 2012 about a potential Black Hippy album. But that was quickly shot down by Schoolboy Q, who said that shit'll never come out.
We know it's official. It ain't gonna be, Black Hippy album or whatnot. But why is that?
Because none of them niggas can be there.
These are niggas in your group, man.
Man, them niggas is gay.
J-Rock's always been a lot more enthusiastic when talking about the potential album, saying he'd like to work on it and that it may come out at some point. Who fucking knows? And over the years, TDE's Punch has also vaguely hinted towards the album, but nothing really came from that other than a few tweets.
Everybody be on my head on Twitter and Instagram. Man, when the Black Hippy come, hey, who knows? You know what I'm saying? I don't want, hey, who knows? You know what I'm saying? It might come next year, 2 years from now, maybe 15, 10, 20 years from now. But hey, one day we're going to do it. But shout out to those guys, man. They doing their thing.
To be real with you, they shot this album down so many times that there's this whole 3-minute compilation of interviews where they both deny and hype up the project. It's so fucking weird. For some reason, they really don't want this album to come out, especially Schoolboy Q. He deadass just hates the thought of this album even existing.
Y'all always sick of talking about this, but Black Hippy.
Yeah. Never happened.
You named that.
Yeah,
Black
I named it, yeah.
Black Hippy is the greatest group that never happened. Exactly.
Sure.
It's the greatest group ever. AI is going to create an album.
Both Absol and Schoolboy Q have expressed that when constructing their albums, they like to be in a specific mindset, which focusing on the Black Hippy stuff would have taken away from. So they never really found a time or motive to sit down and really record a whole album. But that doesn't mean they don't have hundreds of songs in the vault.
I mean, everybody keep asking that question. Y'all been asking that question for like 4 years and we ain't even, like, come on, man. I don't know, man. I can't say that. I'm already working on the next joint already. Like, I already been working on the next joint. It's just like, I don't see the time. And it's just for us to stop. Like, people don't understand when you're working on an album, you get into a groove. It's hard to stop that groove and that zone you in and that vision you got to jump onto a whole new thing and restart from a blank sheet, basically. You know what I mean? Because we don't just put albums out and call it something and it's just a bunch of dope songs. Like everything we do over there, it's like a concept. I don't know.
Sometime around 2013, an anonymous user on Spotify posted about 4 albums worth of Black Hippy tracks, most of which were already released, but some of them were new leaks, new remixes, and ones that were previously unheard of. It's unknown how they got it, and most of these tracks have since been taken off Spotify. But the account is still verified, so many out there still believe there was an officially released album, which, let's be clear, there wasn't. From 2015 to around mid-2016 were the Black Hippy's most successful years, even though they only released about 2 songs during that time. You gotta remember by this point, Kendrick was already considered a top 3 rapper, and Schoolboy Q and J-Rock were probably at the peak of their popularity. They also hopped on J-Rock's 2015 album, 90059, for the track Vice City, which became one of their best songs to date alongside arguably their most popular release, the remix of Schoolboy Q's 2016 hit, That Part. That was the last time we really heard from them, almost 10 years ago, at quite possibly the height of their popularity. We'll never really know what they could have achieved as a real rap group, but for what it's worth, I think they made the right decision in focusing on their individual solo careers. However, if we are gonna point fingers, it has to be first towards the media, and then towards Kendrick. Early on, the Black Hippies were the antithesis of the blog era. They weren't creating viral dances or trying to make a buzz. They just looked like CJ's crew from San Andreas, but in all black. But by 2013, the group really started taking off after that BET cypher, placing them on both the covers of XXL and Respect magazine. It's cool to be recognized, but there's an obvious problem here. One of them was more famous than the others. With headlines like K-Dot kicked in the door and brought in his crew Black Hippy, and Kendrick Lamar in the Black Hippy, it felt like people treated the rest of Black Hippy as just Kendrick's tag-along group, and not as his collective who all really came up together. Absol even tweeted out, "If y'all keep printing Kendrick Lamar and Black Hippy, I will remove myself from the group. Thanks."
Twice in a year on the cover. I know that you had spoken out about how XXL had positioned the last cover.
Right.
You're I think you had said that if y'all do that shit again, I'm gonna leave Black Hippy or some shit.
Right, and that, I mean, I'm glad you asked that, because I mean that wasn't exactly directed at XXL.
How about everybody, right?
That's everybody. That was for all blogs, all social media, all media outlets. A lot of them are printing it like that, and that's just that's not the name of the group.
It wasn't out of jealousy, but rather the disrespect he felt from these magazines calling him part of Kendrick's crew. All of them were solo rappers. Black Hippy was just a namesake they used when they were performing together. But you can tell there was clearly a favorite amongst all of them. While I don't think it's Kendrick's fault that he grew to be the most popular, I still do think he was to blame for the way Black Hippy eventually ended.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I feel like even watching interviews, with everyone besides Kendrick, it's like Kendrick always has to come up, and it's cool because he's put the crew on that that pedestal.
It's all well deserved.
Although we associate Kendrick with TDE, it was never his company, and after almost 17 years of working there, he thought about doing something different. Kendrick's best friend and close collaborator, Dave Free, left TDE sometime around 2019 to start up his own record label / media production company called PG Lang. To be honest with you, I have no idea what they do. I've read some articles, tried navigating their website, which fucking sucks by the way. The UI is garbage. I don't know what they do. It just seems like they help Kendrick and Baby Keem release projects and make corny versions of Kindle iPhone 4s and shit. And then making a movie with the creators of South Park. So I have really no idea what they do. And I hate that they're so weird and mysterious about it, but it is what it is. After getting the groundwork for the company up, Kendrick Lamar announced he was leaving TDE in August of 2021 to pursue further ambitions with PG Lang. He wrote a whole blog post announcing his final TDE album, Mr. Morale, and told his fans he's on to pursuing bigger things. There was never any bad blood between them. Besides a few comical jabs he took at Top Dog, there was no indication that anything had gone wrong.
But, that ship sailed. It was never going to happen anyway, but And then, you know, Dot got his own, he doing his own thing, man. Like, he got a PG Lane, he going up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He left TDE in a good way, on good.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
Just, like, you know, his paperwork ain't got shit to do with, like, that's blood right there. You know what I mean?
The other members of TDE fully supported him, and by this point, they'd gone from 4 members in a small recording booth to housing 10 of the most talented artists in the game today. They signed both SZA and Isaiah Rashad back in 2013, Sir and Zakari sometime around late 2010s, and most recently, my 2 favorite up-and-comers in the game, Doechii and Alameda, who I might also be in love with. She makes good music and all, but yo, you know what I mean? After leaving TDE, the chances of a Black Hippy album seem less likely by the day, like almost impossible at this point. It's like a canon event, like it needs to happen that they don't make a fucking album, like it's in every fucking multiverse ever. And although we got to see them reunite on stage during the pop-out concert, that was it. And that might have been the final nail to their story, which I can't blame them for ending on. It was almost picture perfect.
This show, let's go. Translation, bien aquí mami así culo. Tu quiero que me huevo se papi modes festejo se papi modes festejo el pinche cabrón. Let's get it. Nights like this, I'm a night like this. More than a man, I fight like this. More than a man, I'm a hey, two shot. Hey, two top of the tit top of the that take top in. And when I say boo 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 boo, she wants.
If I were to leave you at just that, you wouldn't necessarily put any blame on Kendrick. But that's why we gotta go over the hard part 6. No, not that one. That one's actually being used in court to help UMG win that stupid ass lawsuit against them. Which you know if you watch my video about the case. It was too fucking predictable. I mean, what did he really expect? For the judge to be as stupid as him? There's no way he's winning that case. Yo, I debunked the shit, bro, alright? I don't even know what the 9th Amendment is. I can't even name one lawyer in my area. Dude, I don't know law, alright? But it was that easy, okay? Seriously, check out the video. I'm not lying, alright? This shit was so easy to debunk. On Kendrick Lamar's newest album, GNX, the song Hard Part 6 was a callback to his earlier days at TDE, the people who helped him along the way, and how his creative visions have changed over the years. You gotta listen to the song, man. I can't do it enough justice, and I also can't play it. So just listen to the song. There's a lot I'm not gonna cover, but it's self-explanatory if you just listen to it. You feel me? Kendrick starts off by painting a picture of what the House of Pain was really like. Just a recording booth and people eating from the exotic jho in the box, while watching World Star Hip Hop videos, laughing at Brian Pumper, the man notorious for wearing fake chains and smacking women with eggs.
He missed. Hey, egg, man.
This was back when they were still trying to push J-Rock, when they were still excited about the Warner Bros. Deal. If J-Rock made it, then Kendrick made it. That's how it was at the time. He gives the ultimate compliment to Solo, saying he studied his style in order to rhyme like him. He also remembers when Mixed by Ali brought Q over. And although Q didn't rap and was homeless, they knew they were going to dominate and make millions one day. He gives his flowers out to a lot more people, but ultimately, he says being a rapper just wasn't enough, and that he needed to start building something that was actually for himself. He wanted to be part of the Black Executives Club. You know, P. Diddy, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, and Tyler Perry, who were all unfortunately not the best company to have around. That's why he wanted to start his own family business, PG Lang. He wanted to be at the head of the table. He wanted to be the next top dog. Kendrick wanted to evolve. He'd done everything he could have ever accomplished as a rapper, won every fucking award. He's gotten more money than he ever knew what to do with. And what that meant was, he finally saw the bigger picture. When you're at that stage, you're not eating from Jokho wishing you can make it one day. You've already made it. Ordering the whole menu is just pocket change. His surroundings have changed. His lifestyle has changed. He wants something bigger, and it just wasn't what TDE was going to offer him. We place the blame on Kendrick for the fall of Black Hippy because he places the blame on himself. Creatively, he just moved on, and you can see that vision shifting around the releases to Pimple Butterfly, the first album where none of the other members of Black Hippy were featured. That's not to say any of the other members were lacking or falling behind. All of them were dropping their best albums as well. But they were all vastly different from each other. They just led different lifestyles, they rapped about different things, and at the end of the day, they really did just start off as label mates. But that's still his family, and when he left TDE, when he moved on from the Black Hippies, he didn't blow it up on social media or anything. He had a healthy conversation with them, a heart to heart, and they said their goodbyes, and that's just how it be sometimes. Now, what do you get when you put together a Blood, a Crip, Chris Hansen, and Ryder from GTA San Andreas? The Black Hippies. And that's the story of Kendrick Lamar's Pseudo-Religion. Although HiiiPower never really took off, I think it's still a pretty interesting concept, and something that's still felt throughout his music. Do I believe a movement like this could be achieved today? Realistically, with who's coming up? No. But it's still interesting to wonder, what they would have accomplished if HiiiPower was further developed. I love Black Hippy. I think it's a stone cool thing, and I hate that every video I see about them is about their downfall. They were more than just Kendrick's band. You actually knew their names, they had their own stories, their own fan bases. They were all unique individuals. They were like the reverse Wu-Tang, but in a good way, you know what I mean? In all honesty, I would love an album from them, but I can't complain about the artists they've grown into now, and I'll forever cherish what little we got from them. With all these Kendrick videos, you might think that I'm his biggest fan, but would it shock you that I like Schoolboy Q more? I listened to Schoolboy Q way before Kendrick. Not way before, but maybe a couple months before, when they were still using Hands on the Wheel for Modern Warfare 2 Quicksilve montages. I was that guy that bought bucket hats in middle school. All my friends were like, yo, that doesn't look good on you. It didn't. It never did. But now I wear fisherman's hats, so yeah, shout out to Q.
What was your bucket hat ordeal?
Bro, I was just getting fat and it fit my face very well, and I just ran with it. Everybody knew me for this dumbass hat, so I feel like I couldn't take it off.
Fair enough.
I'm sure you guys have heard of Mac Miller, and even though he wasn't part of Black Hippy or TDE, he was there all the time, with Schoolboy Q even considering him one of his best friends.
You want to be in our bicycle gang, dude?
Hell yeah, I want to be in your bicycle gang. You got a bike for me? I'm 26 years old. I ain't riding on your peg.
Of course we got a bike. Hold on. Ooh, right on time.
That's you? That's how you do it?
I got you, bruh.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Your official SC Dub t-shirt.
Word?
I got a homie that got some hair just like that.
Word?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Hey, here, hop on, bruh. Pause. Somebody do something.
Somebody do something. I'ma do something.
Oh, shit, it's Schoolboy Q's bank account. Oh, fuck. Damn.
If you were on Twitter or Vine almost a decade ago, you'd remember their back and forth exchanges, with even Kendrick chiming in at points to make fun of Mac Miller. They were a unique duo, one that was unfortunately cut short due to Mac Miller's untimely death, one that deeply impacted Q to the point where he had to delay his album, Crash Talk.
What you miss most about Mac?
Just him.
Alright.
Man, that's my nigga, bro. I got memories with that nigga, bro. I could never write a song. Yeah.
Did you give you a chance? Did you give yourself a chance to grieve?
Stick around and be his homie. I was just happy to be his homie. That was my dog. That was really my dog.
Right.
Sad situation, but he's living forever though.
Right.
He's living forever.
Want to have a moment of silence for him?
No.
No? Let's make some noise for him?
Yeah.
Even though he was grieving Mac Miller's death back then, it's since become somewhat of a taboo subject for him now, with interviewers and fans still bringing it up to this day.
Or they think I'm this super sad rapper, and I'm like, bro, I'm not sad, bitch. I be running into people, oh, I know you feel so bad about Mac. I'm like, bitch, y'all motherfuckers feel so bad about, yeah, I feel, that's my boy, but fuck, stop. Y'all be bringing this shit up, you know what I'm saying? I know you've been going through it for the, motherfucker, I drive through gates every day and the craziest whip. I'm happy as a motherfucker, I be going through my shit. But at the same time, I'm the last person you need to worry about.
Being a Q fan myself, Crash Talk was kinda alright. Like, compared to Blank Face LP, it just wasn't the same. But he's since bounced back with his latest album, Blue Lips, which didn't see the commercial charting Crash Talk did, but I'd consider to be just slightly better than Blank Face LP. Schoolboy Q is my favorite out of TDE, and I'm really happy he's able to stay relevant throughout the years, with the song Collard Greens recently going viral on TikTok as a dance. Also, although Q's solo career has probably played second fiddle to Kendrick's, don't forget that he's a certified golf legend, and I'm not saying that lightly. He's actually mad nice at golf, and he's been playing for more than a decade now. He can par up against some actual pros. And as one of the few black men to excel at golf, he's been gifted with a lot of opportunities, working with some pretty big name companies, and he's even made more money from golf than from rapping. J-Rock was just arrested by the LAPD like yesterday? So yeah, there's that. It was a felony weapons charge, police pulled him over, yada yada yada, whatever, Second Amendment, who cares? Absol just released his album Soul Burger, which was honestly kinda alright. Like, again, I'm not the biggest solo guy, but I do have California Love and Crazier saved. Those are some heat, I'll say that. Kendrick is doing Kendrick things, man. I've done way too many videos on him to just keep repeating my opinions, so just watch any of those videos to see what he's been up to. And that's all, folks. If you enjoyed, I mean, you're here, right? Why not watch my other videos on Kendrick? I'll have a playlist linked down below. Or if you want to learn more about his beef with Drake, I've also made a few videos on that too. Or if you want to learn about crazy stuff, just watch everything else I make. It's what the channel basically is. Just want to let you know, guys, I'm done making videos on Kendrick for now. We're going back to the weird, wacky things for the next one. So subscribe, hit the bell button, check out my Patreon for an exclusive video. And that's all, folks. Peace.